Okay, welcome to episode 13 of the Bow and Aaron podcast.
What up?
So, for today's episode, I read this poem. Actually, I read this poem a long time ago, but it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's
He
called,
wrote Invisible Man, right?
that's Ralph Ellison.
Oh,
No,
I'm
let
dumb.
me double check. All right, let me fact check. I like, yeah, Ellison. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote a lot of poetry and like essays and stuff.
Gotcha.
Anyway, this poem is What is Success? To laugh.
You wanna?
I was about to go
Oh,
read. I was
yep. I
about to
was just
start
about to
reading it.
ask you if you
Okay,
wanted to. My bad. My
I
bad.
do. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. That's the poem. So I wanted to like, what do we think of this poem? What is our definition of success? Is it like this? Was Ralph Waldo Emerson wrong? Just like stuff like that. So
I think I think that's pretty fucking solid. On first impression, the first line to laugh often and much, I feel like encompasses the like what's the meaning of life to like enjoy the world and have as much fun as you can, but it also isn't like it doesn't have a shadow of hedonism. It's like a pure enjoyment. And then winning the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, I think speaks to the duality of what basically a man should strive to be, which is like, you have to be nurturing and bring your children up to be, respectable young men and women, but you also have to be able to, share ideas and exchange strategies and whatnot with the top in your field. So even just the first bit is super super strong, and then the last bit I really like too because to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or redeemed social condition, is like it speaks to even if you have like literally zero resources in the world, you can at least contribute by, you know, bringing a child into the world or planting some seeds that'll grow into like beautiful trees. And I think the garden patch might be figurative as well, but I think it's really strong.
um, I think the garden patch is literal because Emerson was really into that type of thing, like the nature stuff. Um, I have like a book of his poetries and essays. I haven't read it yet, but like I think I mean I agree with this, but you never hear this like in any like inspirational thing or any like get good grades, get a good job. It seems like if this is what success is, nobody really promotes success being this. Success is like, oh, I have a million YouTube subs. I have $5 million in the bank. I, beat all my friends in their GPA. I got this cool title or whatever. So I think if this is like what it means to be successful, then very few people are successful. I don't know if that's like a symptom of like capitalist mentality, like you always need to make money, or if maybe this poem's like a little too earnest, I guess, because it's a pretty high standard, honestly, this poem. Like, win the respect of intelligent people, endure the betrayal of false friends, truly appreciate beauty. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here. This is very like an ambitious definition of what it takes to be successful. I feel like I personally don't know or don't know of anybody that fulfills these requirements. So
I think this is pretty strong, and this is how I've sort of viewed success is like you should have basically, and broadly speaking, I guess, something that you're good at and that brings you joy, and that should sort of be like your career or what kind of like you're gonna contribute to the world from an intellectual standpoint, and then you should take a wife and bear children and raise them to be responsible, awesome little human beings that go on to do the same thing even better than you, and then you should also these other things like appreciate beauty. You should be well learned in some of the classic works that other human beings have made, and just kind of have a general understanding of what people like you have done in the past and might do in the future. I think this is a pretty good. I don't know if like you said, like I can think of a few people that kind of live life like this, and people that I look up to, but I do think there's also the type of person that hones in too much on winning the respect of intelligent people, and where is that, maybe leaving the world a bit better, whether by um a proverbial garden patch. Maybe it's your Tesla company if you're Elon Musk or SpaceX or whatever. But I mean, I see what you're saying as well.
but yeah, cuz I for me personally, like I don't know what my definition of my own success is. I mean, it's like I don't know cuz I like have a good job and finish school, but I don't think of myself as like successful at all. So,
Yeah, for me, I mean, I like medicine and chemistry and nutrition and a lot of that nerdy stuff. So I think ultimately success for me would be like being able to dabble in as many like sub disciplines of all of that as possible, and then deciding like what I want to do specifically. But also outside of that, being able to enjoy a lot of different hobbies like beekeeping or animal husbandry, gardening, you know what I mean? Like fungal cultivation, sourdough making, coffee roasting. I was just thinking the other day, and apologies. I mean, the audience hasn't heard this, but apologies to you, Aaron, if I've mentioned this in the Discord before. But I've been roasting coffee now for 7 or so years. Like, I think 7 years and some change, or possibly 6 years and some change. But either way you slice it, like that's a pretty significant amount of time as like a hobbyist. So, I've gained a lot of experience, and I could probably teach a lot about something that I didn't, go to school for, didn't really formally study, and I think racking up a bunch of those little notches on your belt and kind of being the jack of all trades, but also mastering like one or two things is like the ultimate end goal.
yeah, well, I mean, think of like Ben Franklin. He was a printer, scientist, inventor, politician, writer, and family man. He didn't do so hot on, but he did all the other stuff. So nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I think Family Man's a big part though. You got to be like the Tom Bombadil of IRL, but have children and be not filler content.
Except Tom Bombadil didn't have to work for anything. He just started existing perfectly or whatever. So I feel like that's not a good proxy for the human condition
Well, I
because
mean, presumably Tom Bombadil built his house and
I mean, yeah,
found
but he had like
Goldberry,
unlimited
and
power, so like like anything that he did was ultimately trivial for him if
I
he was like the
guess.
most powerful being in the universe. So
But you don't have unlimited power. So
I
try
mean,
to be
yeah,
like
that's not.
somebody that has unlimited power without having unlimited power.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's what I'm just saying is like he's not a good example of like success because he didn't have to like work to really do anything. But I guess he fulfilled the conditions of that. So how do you appreciate beauty, Bo?
I think mainly outdoorsy stuff, me personally, like right now. But also like I just got done reading The Lord of the Rings, so like that's a big appreciation of beauty as well. and I watched them all. Like we watched the third one together. I think we appreciated Beauty together, as gay as it
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah, I feel like that one's kind of a one that's missing in
Dude,
like
but no,
modern
all right.
culture. Like we don't
This is gonna
really
sound
stop and smell the roses that much as like a culture.
all right.
American culture is very like let's get after it, let's keep doing stuff, blah blah blah. Like
dude, but I'm like that. But this is gonna sound super gay too. But I've had like multiple times. Like this probably happens a few times per week where I just like I'll be like driving to work or like walking on the sidewalk or something, and I'll literally just like notice or see something that makes me so happy that I'll like smile and laugh to myself. And I think that's also appreciation of beauty. Oh, sorry, I have like the hiccups. But just like seeing like little small things like that and just like literally smiling, like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Or like that is really funny. Or that is so awesome. Or what a weird world we live in. I think that is definitely checks the boxes of like stop and smelling the roses. And like I try to like take my lunch outside if I can, or like if I'm not eating, I'll like go outside and like walk to a random place and back on like lunch break. So I think I actually do a pretty decent job of like appreciating beauty.
yeah, I feel like I don't do that enough. I mean, I do a little bit like with music and stuff, but or uh like good podcasts, like I really respect like the good conversation between people. Um because that's like an art. It's an art to have a good conversation with somebody and like really connect with them. So I appreciate beauty like that, but I definitely could use some work. But like in other cultures, like the Mediterranean culture is like specifically I'm thinking of. It's like super relaxed, like maybe a little too relaxed.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, American culture isn't very conducive to some things like that.
Yeah, it like there's a lot of things where and it's funny too because sometimes I think of it like I would my RuneScape character where it's like, all right, I want to do this eventually, but I got to do this and then I got to do this and ideally I should do this. It's like I'm thinking like eventually I want to get to the point where like I can just well, I don't know exactly what position I'll be in, but like think about the life of like a consultant where like you're the top of your field and people are reaching out to you or reaching out, to hire you for advice and shit. Like that would be an ideal world where you can just associate with the people that you kind of want to and do business how you want to, you're your own boss sort of thing. But in order to do that, again, you have to be very well experienced in your field, and I think it also helps to be just generally experienced in like dealing with people, dealing with the place, like the geographical location that you're in, et cetera, et cetera. Which is why I think that kind of like relaxed approach to um, currency generation, or as Ralph Waldo Emerson puts it, and as I said, I think should be kind of conjoined, like your passion project or what you're putting out there into the world. And ultimately, I think that's like a big part of the quote unquote successful picture. But getting to that is like the you have to gain that experience sort of thing. So maybe the relaxed nature comes from a mentality of instead of like being on the hamster wheel have to run faster 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 as fast as you can, knowing that you're like it's going to take some amount of time to get there, and going significantly faster now and tiring yourself out or burning out or whatever might not be the efficient path to take when you're just going to like you're being successful by getting all this experience and doing a lower job, a medical assistant instead of an MD sort of thing, or studying or going to school and spending money to go to school, et cetera, et cetera. You're still being successful even though you're not at the part in the graph where it plateaus out yet. You know what I mean? Because you can't just insert yourself at the top. You have to get there at some point. And even if you get there the fastest, like you still get to the same spot. You know what I mean?
And then I
So
guess my
I think
other
that's a good argument to stop and smell the roses as well.
yeah, I think my other thing is like so when you accomplish, let's say I accomplished all these things, then am I successful and I can just die? Like so I guess this is like a process. It's not something you do once and then it's success is like a process almost, I guess, which is kind of weird too because normally we think about success as like, all right, I made my like $10 million, I'm successful, I'm done now. But And
Yeah.
like the Waldo Emerson view is like success is like it's like a process that needs to be attained like permanently. It's almost like a different state of existence. Because I guess like if you go like what my mental exercise like do the opposite of everything, it's you lose everybody's respect, you leave the world a worse place, blah blah blah. So it's trying to always strive to be the opposite of that failure person, I suppose. And, but like note like also an interesting to note thing to note here is like he doesn't say succeed in your endeavors at all or like stuff like that. It's very interesting because other times we think of success as like you know, I built this. Let's say I built this Lego set, but what if I had to like? What if I built it wrong like four times?
Yeah.
And in this Ralph Waldo Emerson's definition of success, like building it wrong four times isn't a failure at all. It's just the act of you like striving to create something better, regardless of the outcome, is success. So that's kind of interesting to me, also.
Yeah, I think it might also be an interesting thought exercise to kind of read through it and ask the question how. So like how are you going to laugh often and much and think of like a few things that you enjoy that make you laugh. It's like, all right, comedy makes me laugh. Well, maybe you should do more comedy in your life. Like maybe that's the definition of what your success is. And then it's like, all right, winning the respect of intelligent people. How could I win the respect of intelligent people? Well, I could continue in my pursuit of getting accepted to a PA school, do well in my studies, and then continue with passion and success in my career treating people. That'd be great. Win the affection of children. I think generally just not being an asshole to children, but also bearing your own children
Being
and
like a good role model too, I think.
y- yeah, and also I mean like children don't hang out with adults, or at least they shouldn't. That's weird. So you're naturally going to be around other children that your children are around if they're well adapted. So like I think reading through this and just like asking yourself how, and then writing a list of like all those answers, and then sort of extrapolating a little bit and generalizing could paint you a pretty decent picture of like what success might mean right now in your life. Because like I was saying earlier, I think it was a bit long winded, but essentially, I think your graph of life when it comes to like I don't know. I don't know what the y axis would be, but the x is time. Essentially, you're going to be shooting up kind of, at a fast trajectory and eventually plateau out once you're older, generally speaking. And the trajectory is going to slow down as you age and then plateau out. So you're assuming that the plateau is going to be in a range with respect to the y axis that you would define as success. So then it's just a matter of like, okay, how quickly do you want to get there? Or you could look at it like we were saying, that success is this entire thing's a process. The plateau is never going to be
Right.
zero, or else it'd be an undefined function, right? Or no, it would just be y equals zero. It'd be like a different function. But at any rate, the trajectory is always going to be positive. So you should, whether your trajectory is just barely positive or extremely positive, you should learn to appreciate the act of having a positive trajectory. Again, however you define the y-axis in terms of like work done or success generated or people made happy or lines in this poem satisfied. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this like more and more lately because um I don't know, it just like success is a weird it's like a loaded word almost. Like what are you passionate about or like what's your dream job? That's such a loaded term now. It almost doesn't even mean anything anymore in my opinion. So, like that's kind of why I wanted to take a little deep dive into this definition of success because I think it's a little bit more hefty and more nuanced than like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
a software engineer at Amazon. I'm successful now. Like,
So
I
what
mean,
if what if instead, Aaron, what if the question weren't what is your dream job, but what if the question were what is your dream job without any limitations on like so you can say something that doesn't exist as a job. But I mean, obviously you got to think about it really hard because I could say, yeah, my dream job's like playing RuneScape or sitting on my ass and watching YouTube videos, but like you're gonna get bored of that eventually. You know, you might be able to sit right here and lie to yourself and lie to me thinking that you'd love sitting down and playing video games all day. Maybe you would, but I think I know you and I don't think that's you.
I would
So
get
like
bored so fast.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I think
Same.
I know this is gonna sound like dumb, but my dream job is like samurai. I just want to like train my body and like train my mind like all day, but there's no modern samurai
Yeah.
job.
Well, all right, dude. All right, think about this, and this might be you might not see it this way, but when you just said that you want to be a samurai, you want to train your body and train your mind. Well, you want to be you want to be ready for any situation, right? Whether it's a pop quiz or whether it's someone trying to mug you on the street. What does that sound like? That sounds like a jack of all trades. What did I just think this poem sounded like? Jack of all trades. I think there is room to be a modern age samurai if you just think about being a well acquainted individual with regards to the challenges that you would face today, right? So like instead of walking around with your sword, maybe you're walking around with like a laptop and a Glock 19 or something. I don't know. But
Yeah,
do you
actually,
get what I'm saying
I do
though?
need to like sign up for shooting classes. That's like one thing I was gonna do it before the pandemic and then got distracted. But yeah, I need to do that at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically I don't know if you heard of this fighter Valentina Shevchenko. Like she just like fights, reads books, and like shoots guns and like learns to speak new languages. It's really great. She's like a samurai basically.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
She can speak
I
like five
think
languages or something, and she's like a super badass and has like defended the belt like 9 times straight or something.
I don't know what my dream job would be. I think it's gonna change because, like, right now, I think the idea of learning a lot about something and then helping people that have questions in that field. So, like, medicine obviously fits that bill, right? You learn a lot about fixing people's ails, and then they come to you with ails, and you hopefully fix them. Or like consulting, again, kind of falls in that field because you can become a badass engineer by working at some place for 30 years and then retire. Well, you just acquired a huge set of skills that if you market them correctly, people can reach out to you and hey man, we'd really like to have you come answer these questions for us while we do this for this new product launch. And it's like, yeah, sure, here's the price. So I think both of those things sound really cool, just like knowing a lot about a certain subject and then being able to help people that have questions in that subject. And the big ones that stand out to me right now are like medicine and then mycology. So like learning more about fungi and finding cool fungi for people.
Have you ever gone
But
hunting for morels or whatever? Morels?
morels, yeah, I've never found any though. I've been more success. I mean, I've gone hunting for quite a few different species of mushroom, but morels are the elusive ones to me. It's actually morel season right now in
What's
southwestern Ohio.
because is it because of the rain or something or?
No, they're just like a springtime mushroom versus like summertime. So
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, but they do like rain followed by hot temperature. And we did just get a lot of rain.
So I guess another part of this poem that like we didn't talk about it yet is endure the betrayal of false friends. So
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. He implies that line implies that you're gonna have false friends, which is
yeah,
pretty.
and like if you recall back to episode 7 when we talked about good and evil, the Dante's Inferno, the three dudes at the lowest level of hell were the dudes that betrayed their friends. So that's I think it's I don't know. I'm sure Emerson read the Inferno, but it's kind of cool that we can make that connection between this literature and that other literature. Um, where this is like literally the only negative thing he mentions in this poem is endure the betrayal of false friends. So I think it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep. Yep.
trying to think if I've had any situations like that. Hmm. I mean, I've definitely had like falling outs with friends before, like where I'm like really good friends with somebody and then there's just
Critics is also negative.
um earn the appreciation of honest critics. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like quasi negative. I don't think it's is you can like spin that as positive way. I don't think you can spin endure the betrayal of false friends a positive way at all.
I mean, you can, but critics has a negative connotation, and then honest critics is an oxymoron, and that I think those are both
I don't
objective
think it's an
statements.
oxymoron. Like, uh, uh, like an honest critic is like you saying bad stuff,
All
but
right, yeah,
saying it
I
in a
guess
good
that's
way.
not as oxymoronic. I meant that it's a juxtaposition, like an internal juxtaposition between a negative connotation and a positive connotation word.
Yeah, but like I think it balances positive because it says earn the appreciation. So I don't know. But I mean, yeah, that one kind of has like a little bit of depth to it. But yeah, can you think
But I
like
would also question is like is earning the appreciation of something that's already like a docile slash positive force like yeah, is that something to be hailed as like being cool, you know? Like I think the bigger challenge is earning the appreciation of honest critics that wouldn't otherwise be like friendly. Like their main goal is to criticize you.
yeah, I mean like for example, let me think here. Like I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I respect that they're like a damn good football team. But I yeah, I don't know if that's being an honest critic, but I mean I respect them, but they suck. Is that a good example?
I think
Or is that not quite it?
I think what he's trying to say there. So, to earn the appreciation of honest critics. So, firstly, we were thinking, why honest critics over any critics? Why does he specify honest critics? And I think
Because
that
those
might
ones are
speak
worthy of like
exactly.
paying
I think that
attention
speaks
to.
to the YouTube comment thing. Like, you shouldn't read every YouTube comment on your video if it's big enough to attract the. Because most of them are just going to be baloney, right? Most of them are going to be like,
Free crypto
either
here.
yeah, they're either just going to be like unrelated baloney, or they're just going to be negative, trying to tear you down. So the only ones that you should really focus on are the people that are, as Emerson says here, honestly criticizing your content. So this filters out yes men on one side of the aisle, and it filters out the people that are just bashing you for no reason. So you have to learn how to deal with both. But then also the first part of that, to earn the appreciation of, to earn something you have to work for it. And appreciation isn't something that's easily I don't want to use the same word again, but earned, right? You can't
Yeah.
like to truly appreciate something. There's many objects in my room right now that I'm kind of looking at, and like none of them like they're all cool. Flag, yeah, that's pretty cool. There's another flag that are cool. But to appreciate something, you have to think deeper about it. You have to look at the flag and under like, oh man, the meaning behind that, my country, and I love my country. Therefore, I can appreciate that. So appreciation is something that's a little bit deeper, and I think that this again speaks to being able to understand the difference between different types of critics, but then also producing something that's big enough to accrue a following of
Yeah.
people that you could even consider being
Oh
critics.
yeah,
So
that's a
there's
good point. That's a good point. Yep, that makes sense.
because if you're not putting yourself out there to begin with, or if you are, but it's just like some like half-assed attempt, so to say, like nobody's even going to interact with it, good or bad. So you're not even going to have critics.
Right. So you kind of need to be doing stuff. So that makes sense.
You need to be
Um,
doing stuff firstly, and then secondly, you need to understand that there's going to be a percentage of the people interacting with that stuff that you're doing that are going to be beneficial for you to interact with, and choosing those people and then interacting with them is what he's saying here you should do, I believe. Because what can you do with an honest critic? You can learn from an honest critic.
yeah. Like I guess yeah, that makes sense. Let's see here. What else?
It's a good poem, dude. I
Yeah, I might
think
have to like put this up on like my wall or something to like give me perspective because I feel like a lot of times I think I'm like like not
the
doing
only part
enough
I
or something. I don't know.
the only part I don't understand to its fullest, I think, is the redeemed social condition. Does that mean just like getting like if you're on rung one of the social ladder, like your family or whatever, your parents were on rung one, is that like getting to rung two? Is that what he means, or like Does that
Um,
mean like
I don't
pursuing
actually know.
social justice for like others? And obviously, I think if that were the case, it would be social justice in the sense of before it got perverted during Ralph Waldo Emerson's era, but
I'm not
and not
quite sure.
yeah, I'm not very sure what it means either.
Let me look up when he wrote this poem. Redeem social condition. I mean, it could be like helping somebody who like has a problem and like fix their problem or something. I don't know.
But what is to redeem means to the re means to like
I
repeat,
mean,
right? So
redeem is like save. It's like like when Luke Skywalker turned Darth Vader to the light side, he redeemed him. He saved
yes,
him.
but it's saving. So, all right, definition is compensate for the faults or bad aspects of something. Gain or regain possession of something in exchange for payment. So there's like there's a balance of things here, right? So it's like to redeem something, you could deem something or redeem something is kind of what I'm saying here, right? So to redeem something inherently means that that something was like bad or did something bad that
Yeah,
you have to rectify, right? It wasn't like their base state wasn't something that you had to go in there and fix. It was their base state was good and then they went to bad and now you're having to redeem them to their base state which was good. So that's why I'm saying I think that it's a little deeper than like I think it's what am I trying to say here?
dichotomy, like multiple meanings. Or no, that's not it.
No, I think he's trying to say here like just I can't even find words for what I'm like thinking right now. Sorry.
You're good.
I think it's basically just like another aspect to it and I can't well define it. Redeemed social condition. Healthy child is easy to understand. Garden patch 2. So what's like the definition of a social condition? I think that's the better question.
Well, this is kind of like I've been looking at some other like Marcus Aurelius things that I kind of want to talk about. I think we can kind of segue into that. Like, for example, one social condition I think that like plagues us is the attention, like the brain drain of like staring at your phone all day or staring at TikTok all day. I think redeeming that social condition would be like promoting mindfulness and promoting like being in the present and enjoying like less superficial forms of entertainment. Um, and then there's two uh, Stoic quotes that I want to like segue into that because I think this uh, this Emerson poem is good, but I think it kind of like glosses over like all the negative, like it glosses over like adversity for the most part. But then here's the two quotes. So, concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can, if you do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life and stop being aimless. And then here's the other one, which I think if you add like this quote onto the poem, then it's like would encompass like a good definition of success. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? I think this quote kind of like addresses the aspect that this is hard. Like you can't just waltz your way into being a good person. It's and like the challenges you face, you're gonna have to confront those every single day. Um, and I guess it also kind of speaks to like everybody kind of knows what they should be doing. I think, or at least most people. um, at any given time. But yeah, that's social condition. Like I really wish.
Social condition, I think it's like I just looked up what a social like I said social condition and the definition or the list that came up under it was like poverty, quality of housing, homelessness, educational attainment and quality, unemployment, wage levels, etc. So
Yeah, I guess mine is more like a like a cultural. I feel like, dude, I just feel like the mindless. There's so much more mindlessness than there used to be. Like I don't know. I feel like that's a bad thing, but maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's good to be numb to everything, and just stare at your phone all day.
you think so?
A lot of people seem to be doing it, so myself included, more often than I would like to admit. I mean, I wish I could like go back into like 19 like 40 or something before TV, or I guess 19 like 20 or something before TV, and see what people did for fun. I mean, I guess people like used to sit around and listen to the radio, but like to listen to the radio, you got to be paying attention though. Like you can't just be like staring at it like the TV, because like I listen to baseball on the radio a lot, and if I'm not focused on it, like you don't hear what's going on, so like it just sounds like blah 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 blah. But if there was one thing I would do to change society, would be to make people engage in the present moment more and to live a more thoughtful life. So that's what redeemed social condition means to me.
I think the best way to fix society would be to have people focus more on politics and less on everything else.
What do you mean more on politics?
No, actually, I take that back. More on politics, equally split more attention spent on politics and on what color someone's skin is.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Then everyone would be way happier.
And also look at Twitter more, especially the
Oh yeah.
comments underneath politicians'
Yes,
tweets.
sir. So yeah, I don't know. I think I do sort of agree with you that reading this poem, he doesn't. You have to really be wary that there's not like the negativity or the hardships in this. But I think if you read into it a bit deeper, it's all implied.
Yeah, I think like to laugh often and
But
much in
also,
spite of the bad things that are happening, or like to keep a light heart even in spite of like bad things that may happen. I think he kind
also,
of talks about it there a little bit.
yeah, but you also have to remember it's like the poem's name is "What is Success," not "What is Life."
Yeah, but I mean, success is like the goal of life, right? Or
Not everyone's gonna succeed, though, right?
I mean, no, I think very few people succeed actually by any metric, even by their own self-imposed metric. It's funny because uh, Leonardo da Vinci, like apparently on his deathbed, he said, like, I'm sorry that I offended God and the world because the work I made was like not up to my own standard or something. And he made The Last Supper, the Mona Lisa, like invented all or like the Vitruvian Man and like all these anatomic and like inventions, and he didn't think he was successful. So it's kind of funny. And I mean, like by literally anybody's standards except Leonardo da Vinci's, he was successful. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, but I also think that type of self criticism is what drives a lot of like hyper successful people as well.
But
Because it's
again, they
like,
don't think like he didn't think he was successful.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like no matter what you do, you're not successful. So you're just gonna end up being more and more successful until you finally get the point across, or like to yourself, or you just die or
Yeah.
stop being able to keep up with it, sort of thing.
But I guess like it kind of almost makes sense then the success is a process. So it's something you can never really attain. It's something you keep doing. So that's kind of interesting also.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the trajectory of that process is just different at different points in your life naturally. So like comparing yourself at one point to somebody else at a different point is sort of silly if you guys are both gonna get there at the same like relative time. Or you know, I also think focusing on like comparing yourself to other people like that might compromise your chances of attaining success, right? Because
For sure, for
you're
sure.
certainly not appreciating beauty. You're not laughing. I mean,
But
you're
I
not
mean,
trying
like
to win the
also
respect of that person.
y- like for me, I'm very competitive, so if I wasn't competing with anybody, I don't think I would be like doing anything. So for me, I know like some person might be better than me, but I still need to compare myself to them to like make myself work harder or something.
Yeah,
Like, cause yeah, I don't know, but that's just me. Like the jujitsu gym like makes me want to work out more because everybody in there is like in super good shape. So I feel like I gotta keep grinding to keep up. So
yeah, but there's. I mean, you can compete with somebody and respect them at the same time,
yeah,
and I think that's like very apparent in like combat sports, especially like your wrestling, jiu-jitsu, especially if it's the people that you're training with. I mean, like shit, dude. In the wrestling room, people almost come to blows sometimes, and like I mean, the same people shake hands and
yeah.
laugh with each other after practice. It's
Yeah,
different,
it's
but I mean,
crazy.
it's I mean that's just how like successful wrestlers act. It seems, and I'm sure it carries over to UFC. Well, UFC is a little different, but there's still people like in your camp that you
Yeah.
respect, right, and train with. So I don't know. I really like that poem. I think in terms of like answering the question posed in the title, what is success? It's like, yeah, those are all. What would you add to that if you had to add something?
I mean, I told you I would add that Marcus Aurelius thing, like
The Roman one, or
not the
the
like the
bed
Roman
one?
one, the get out of bed
Yeah,
in the morning and do what you're supposed to do regardless of whatever's out there. I think I would just add that, and then yeah.
gotcha. So success is, yeah, but is what about cuddling in your warm sheets? Is that appreciating the beauty in life?
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's like being afraid.
No, I agree. I think it's a good thought to have every morning because I don't know, typically you have intentions on waking up at some time in the morning, and then eventually that time comes, and then you're like, fuck, I'd rather be asleep and not awake.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I know
yep,
past
yep,
me
yep.
and future me will disagree.
Ah, yep. So it's like we said, it's a process. You got to keep doing it every single day, or else you I don't know, or else you fail, I guess. But yeah, that's about like the extent of my thoughts on this poem. So I don't know if you have anything more else to say. If not, we can end the episode here.
Um, Let me read it one more time through. See if I can think of anything. What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, and endure the betrayal of false friends. Yeah, dude. All right, so I'm definitely buckling down on the. So critics is juxtaposed with friends, and honest is juxtaposed with false. You see what I'm saying? Honest critics, false friends.
Yeah,
I like that. That's good. To appreciate the beauty, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others. So that's another really difficult thing. There's some like shitty people, but he says you got to find the best. To leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Yeah, I like it. I think the best and the most powerful ones to me is laughing slash appreciating beauty, winning the respect of intelligent people, and sort of the idea of leaving the world just a little bit better than you found it, sort of thing. Because that's also a and he talks about this a little bit, I think, through his how he lists out like garden patch kid or redeemed social condition. He doesn't say and redeemed social condition, so realistically, those are pretty easy conditions to meet. So it's not like putting the pressure on you at all. You know,
Yeah.
it's really up to the person that is out there trying to succeed to determine what it means to them. Like what's better in my eyes, leaving the world a bit better. What's better? And then
Hmm.
he lists three examples of how you could do it. I like it. Good poem.
All right, everybody. Thanks for your listening, and I'll wrap up episode 13 here. We'll see you soon.
Peace.